So you love pickup trucks and think you know them all, but guess what? There are some pretty interesting trucks out there that you've never heard about. Well, I've lined them up for you, and you won't believe that these bad boys even existed. But first, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Chevrolet Blazer Chalet. Imagine hitting the open road with your home right behind the driver's seat. That's exactly what the Chevrolet Blazer Chalet offered in the late 1970s. Based on the rugged Chevy K5 Blazer, this unique truck camper hybrid was an attempt to blend off-road capability with cozy, on-the-go living. It was like an early version of today's van life trend, but with way more old-school charm. Chevy designed the Blazer Chalet for adventure seekers who wanted to camp anywhere without towing a trailer or setting up a tent. The company partnered with an RV manufacturer called Chinook to create a fully integrated fiberglass camper shell that replaced the standard truck bed. But unlike other campers that required attaching and detaching, the Chalet was permanently part of the vehicle, giving it a sleeker, more streamlined look. Inside, the Blazer Chalet had just about everything you'd need for a weekend getaway. It came with a small but functional kitchen area, including a propane stove, a mini fridge, a sink with running water, and even storage cabinets for food and supplies. There was even a dinette that converted into a bed, plus an overhead bunk for a second person. Of course, it wasn't the Four Seasons, but for the 1970s, this was top-tier camping luxury. The Blazer Chalet was built for off-road adventurers, making it a great choice for people who loved exploring nature. The truck had four-wheel drive, a powerful V8 engine, and decent ground clearance, meaning you could take it up mountains, through forests, or across the desert without worrying about getting stuck. Today, with the rise of tiny homes, van life, and overlanding, a modern version of the Blazer Chalet could be a huge success. If Chevy ever decided to bring it back with modern upgrades like solar panels and a better kitchen setup, it would be a dream vehicle for today's road trip lovers. Dodge Ram SRT-10 Night Runner. Trucks aren't usually known for their speed, but Dodge didn't care about that when they built the Ram SRT-10. In fact, they created what was basically a muscle car disguised as a pickup. And if that wasn't cool enough, they took it a step farther by making an ultra-limited all-black version called the Night Runner, one of the rarest and most mysterious performance trucks ever made. The Ram SRT-10 was already an insane idea to begin with. Dodge decided to take the massive 8.3-liter V10 engine from the Dodge Viper and shove it under the hood of a full-size pickup truck. For real, this truck had the same engine as a supercar, pushing out 500 horsepower and 525 pound-feet of torque. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 4.9 seconds, which was faster than some sports cars of the time. The Night Runner version took the truck's aggressive styling to a whole new level. Painted in a deep, menacing shade of black, it looked like something Batman would drive if he ever needed a pickup. The 22-inch black wheels, darkened headlights, and custom badging gave it a sleek and stealthy vibe, making it one of the most intimidating trucks on the road. Interestingly, Dodge only made 400 of these beasts in 2006, making them incredibly rare and highly sought after today. But it wasn't just about looks. The Night Runner had upgraded suspension, bigger brakes, and a 6-speed manual transmission that made it one of the most fun and ridiculous pickups to drive. But the truck wasn't designed for towing or hauling heavy loads alone. It was also built for speed and style. Unfortunately, fuel economy was basically non-existent. The massive V10 guzzled gas like there was no tomorrow, making it an impractical choice for everyday driving. That, combined with a high price tag, meant that not many people could justify owning one. But for those lucky 400 buyers who did, they ended up with one of the coolest and rarest performance trucks in history. Today, the Night Runner is a hidden gem in the truck world since only a few hundred were made. Spotting one on the road is like finding a unicorn. If you ever see one, just know that you're looking at a truck that could embarrass some sports cars while still carrying a full load of groceries in the back. Chevrolet S10 EV. Long before Tesla made electric cars cool and everybody started talking about going green, Chevrolet took a bold step into the unknown with the S10 EV. This was 1997, back when electric cars were seen as weird science experiments, and gas was still cheap enough that nobody really cared about fuel efficiency. But Chevy had a vision, and that was to build an all-electric pickup truck that could haul your stuff while saving the planet. Sounds like a genius idea, right? Well, not exactly. The S10 EV was based on the regular S10 pickup that swapped out the usual gas-guzzling engine for an electric motor powered by lead-acid batteries. Yep, you read that right. Lead-acid, the same type of battery found in old-school car batteries. Because of this, its range was limited to just 72 miles per charge. That might seem laughable today, but back then it was groundbreaking. All at the same time, the truck had a top speed of 70 miles per hour, which was decent for the time, but it took forever to charge and wasn't exactly built for long road trips. So why didn't it catch on? Well, for starters, the price was outrageous. The S10 EV cost around $33,000, which was a lot of money in the late 1990s, especially for a truck that couldn't even take you 100 miles before it needed to be plugged in. Plus, there weren't many charging stations around, so owning one required a lot of patience and planning. Chevrolet only made 492 units, and out of those, just 60 were sold to the public. The rest were leased out to government agencies and utility companies, making it an ultra-rare find today. But despite its failure, the S10 EV was actually ahead of its time. It paved the way for modern electric trucks like the Ford F-150 Lightning and Rivian R1T. Imagine if Chevy had access to today's battery technology back then. Maybe the S10 EV might have been a massive success. Instead, it became a forgotten relic of the electric revolution that came decades later. But hey, at least they tried. Ford Sky Ranger. Trucks and convertibles are two completely different worlds. One is built for hauling heavy loads and getting dirty, while the other is designed for cruising with the wind in your hair. But back in the early 90s, Ford had a wild idea. Why not combine the two? That's how the Ford Sky Ranger was born. It was a compact pickup truck with a soft-top convertible roof, giving you the best of both worlds, at least in theory. The Sky Ranger was based on the Ford Ranger, a reliable and popular small truck of the time. But instead of the usual hard roof, it had a manually retractable soft top, which you could pull back for an open-air driving experience. Think Jeep Wrangler, but in pickup truck form. Sounds fun, right? Well, apparently not enough people thought so. Ford only made 17 of these, which is an absurdly low number for a vehicle produced by a major automaker. That makes the Sky Ranger one of the rarest production trucks in history. So what went wrong? Well, first of all, truck buyers weren't exactly looking for a convertible. Most people who bought pickups needed them for work, towing, or off-roading, and a soft-top roof didn't really fit into any of those categories. On the flip side, convertible lovers wanted something sportier like a Mustang, not a truck. So the Sky Ranger ended up in a weird in-between category where it didn't quite appeal to either group. Then there was the price. The conversion from regular Ranger to Sky Ranger was done by a company called American Sunroof Corporation, and it wasn't cheap. This meant the truck cost significantly more than a standard Ranger, and buyers weren't exactly lining up to pay extra for a feature they weren't sure they needed. On top of that, soft-top trucks weren't known for being the most secure vehicles. With just a fabric roof, it was easy for thieves to break in, which didn't help its case. But despite its failure, the Sky Ranger is an interesting piece of automotive history. It was a bold experiment that didn't quite land, but in today's world where quirky, unique cars often become cult classics, it might have had a better shot. Who knows, maybe Ford will give the convertible truck another try one day. Until then, the Sky Ranger remains a forgotten gem, hiding in garages and car collections, waiting to surprise the next lucky person who stumbles upon one. Ford Bigfoot Cruiser. If you've ever seen those massive monster trucks jumping over cars at the arena, then you know how exciting they are. People love watching them crush old vehicles and fly through the air like they weigh nothing. One of the most famous monster trucks ever is Bigfoot, a giant souped-up Ford that became a legend in the world of off-road racing. Seeing how popular Bigfoot was, Ford had a bright idea. Why not make a smaller street-legal version that everyday people could buy? That's how the Ford Bigfoot Cruiser was born. Released in the late 1980s, the Bigfoot Cruiser was a special version of the Ford F-250. It wasn't exactly as monstrous as the real Bigfoot, but it did come with some serious upgrades. It had massive tires, extra fog lights, a lifted suspension, and a flashy Bigfoot decal on the sides to make sure everyone knew it wasn't just a regular truck. The whole point was to give people the feeling of driving a monster truck while still being able to take it on the highway without getting pulled over. Sounds cool, right? Well, here's where things took a turn. The Bigfoot Cruiser had some unexpected issues. Some of them were catching on fire. Yes, you heard that right. Ford started getting reports that some of these trucks had electrical problems that could lead to overheating and, in the worst cases, small fires. And if that wasn't bad enough, they were also handling problems with some trucks being prone to rollovers because of their high lift and oversized tires. So instead of giving people a taste of monster truck glory, Ford ended up with a major headache. In the end, Ford had no choice but to recall all 300 Bigfoot cruisers they had made. Owners had to return them, and Ford removed many of the special parts that made the truck unique. Today, finding one in its original form is nearly impossible. Lincoln Blackwood. Just imagine a luxury car and a pickup truck having a baby. That's exactly what Lincoln was going for when they introduced the Lincoln Blackwood in 2002. Lincoln, best known for making sleek, high-end cars like the Town Car and Navigator, decided to step into the world of pickup trucks. But instead of making a rugged workhorse, they went all in on style, comfort, and exclusivity. The result? A truck that looked amazing, but didn't exactly make sense. At first glance, the Blackwood was a beauty. It had a sleek black paint job, a chrome grille, and real wood panels on the side, hence the name Blackwood. Yeah, it had the heart of a Ford F-150, but the soul of a luxury car. Inside, Lincoln packed it with all the fancy features you'd expect, including leather seats, a high-end sound system, and even heated and cooled seats, which was unheard of for a pickup truck back then. And here's where things got weird. Lincoln made some choices that made the Blackwood terrible as an actual truck. The bed, the area where you're supposed to load up cargo, was completely carpeted and covered with a power-operated hard to know. That meant you couldn't haul much of anything without ruining the luxury interior. Want to throw in some lumber or a set of tools? Forget it. The Blackwood wasn't made for that. It was meant for people who wanted the look of a truck without actually using it like one. Then came the price. The Blackwood cost over $50,000 in 2002, which was insanely expensive for a pickup back then. At that price, people started asking, why not just buy a luxury SUV instead? Lincoln assumed wealthy buyers would love the idea of a high-end truck, but they didn't. Sales were so bad that Lincoln pulled the plug after just 1 year. They only made 3,356 Blackwoods, making it one of the rarest pickups ever sold. Today, the Lincoln Blackwood is a collector's item, but only for people who appreciate its unique and slightly odd history. It may not have been a success, but it paved the way for other luxury pickups like the Cadillac Escalade EXT and the Lincoln Mark LT. Dodge Dakota Convertible. Back in the late 1980s, Dodge had a wild idea. What if they made a pickup truck that could also be a convertible? Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what they did with the Dodge Dakota Convertible introduced in 1989. At the time, Dodge was trying to make its truck stand out in a crowded market, and they figured that a soft-top pickup might be the perfect way to do that. After all, who wouldn't want to haul lumber while feeling the wind in their hair? The Dakota Convertible was based on the standard Dakota, which was already a popular midsize truck. But instead of the usual hardtop, it had a manually operated soft roof that could be folded down like a classic convertible. It came with a 3.9-liter V6 engine producing around 125 horsepower, decent power for a midsize truck in the late 80s. It was available in both rear-wheel drive and four-wheel drive versions, making it a flexible choice for buyers. On paper, it seemed like a genius idea. But in reality, the Dakota Convertible faced a major identity crisis. Truck buyers wanted something tough, rugged, and capable of carrying heavy loads. Meanwhile, convertible fans were looking for a sleek, sporty car, not a pickup truck with a foldable roof. This meant the Dakota Convertible struggled to find an audience. Another problem was the price. Because it was a niche vehicle, it cost more than a regular Dakota, which turned away potential buyers. Only around 2,842 units were sold in 1989, and despite giving it another shot in 1990 and 1991, Dodge couldn't move many more. Today, the Dakota Convertible is a rare collector's item. You almost never see one on the road, and when you do, it turns heads. It's a truck that represents a bold but weird experiment that didn't quite work out. But hey, at least Dodge took the risk, and now we have one of the most unique pickup trucks in history. Dodge Lil Red Express truck. In the late 1970s, muscle cars were dying out thanks to strict emissions regulations, but Dodge wasn't ready to let go of high-performance vehicles just yet. Instead of making another muscle car, they did something unexpected. They built a muscle truck. And that's how the Lil Red Express was born in 1978. This truck was loud, fast, and looked like something straight out of a Hot Wheels collection. The first thing you'd notice, the bright red paint job and the massive chrome exhaust stack sticking out behind the cab. Those weren't just for show, they helped give this truck its signature deep growling sound. Under the hood, the Lil Red Express packed a 360 cubic inch V8 engine with a special police spec camshaft and a 4-barrel carburetor. The result? A powerful 225 horsepower, which made it the fastest American production vehicle of 1978. That's right, not just the fastest truck, but the fastest vehicle, period. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 7 seconds, beating out even Corvettes and Mustangs of the time. But with great power came great noise complaints. The Little Red Express was so loud that certain states, including California, refused to allow it to be sold. On top of that, it didn't have a catalytic converter, which made it an emissions nightmare. Still, Dodge managed to sell about 2,188 units in 1978. Seeing its unexpected success, Dodge brought it back in 1979 with a few changes, most notably a revised front grille and a slightly detuned engine due to new emissions regulations. Even with the adjustments, it remained a beast on the road. Unfortunately, the fun didn't last long. By 1980, rising fuel costs and stricter regulations meant Dodge had to put an end to the Little Red Express. In total, only 7,306 units were ever made. Today, if you're lucky enough to find one of these on the road, you're looking at a piece of truck history. It was one of the first high-performance pickups ever made and paved the way for today's modern muscle trucks like the Ford Lightning and Ram TRX. The Little Red Express proved that trucks could be more than just workhorses. They could be fast, fun, and rebellious. Dodge D-Series High Performance. Back in the 1960s, Dodge had a reputation for making tough, reliable trucks. But in 1964, they decided to do something wild, build a truck that could outrun most muscle cars of the time. The result was the Dodge D-Series High Performance, a pickup that packed a serious punch under the hood. Dodge took their regular D100 pickup and stuffed it with a 426 cubic inch wedge V8 engine, the same kind of powerhouse that Dodge used in their drag racing cars. This monster of an engine produced around 365 horsepower, which was insane for a truck back then. At a time when most trucks were made for farming, hauling, or worksite duties, Dodge thought, why not make one that goes fast? And that's exactly what they did. But speed came at a price. The high-performance D-Series wasn't cheap. With the upgraded engine, heavy-duty suspension, and performance tuning, it cost way more than the average pickup. That scared off a lot of buyers. After all, most people were looking for speed in the 1960s were buying muscle cars, not work trucks. Because of this, Dodge only managed to sell 50 of them, making it one of the rarest performance trucks ever built. Fast forward to today, and this truck is a true collector's dream. Of the 50 made, only 31 are known to still exist, making them incredibly rare. If you ever see one at a car show, consider yourself lucky. It's like spotting a piece of truck history in the wild. And with modern restorations and collectors keeping them in top shape, some of these trucks can fetch a serious price tag. Looking back, the Dodge D-Series High Performance was ahead of its time. It proved that trucks could be more than just workhorses. They could be fun, fast, and exciting. And in a way, it paved the road for today's high-performance trucks like the Ram TRX and Ford Raptor. GMC Sierra Grand Olympic. In 1976, the world had its eyes on Canada as Montreal hosted the Summer Olympics. It was a big deal, Canada's first time hosting the Games, and GMC wanted to celebrate in style. So they did what any car company would do. They made a special edition truck to mark the occasion. Enter the GMC Sierra Grande Olympic Edition, a pickup designed to show off Canadian pride. It came in a striking red and white paint scheme, the colors of the Canadian flag, with unique Olympic badging to make sure everyone knew it was something special. But here's the catch, it was only sold in Canada, and only for that 1 year. That instantly made it one of the rarest GMC trucks ever produced. Under the hood, the Sierra Grande Olympic Edition wasn't just for show, it came with a selection of V8 engines, ranging from a 350 cubic inch to a powerful 454 cubic inch engine, making it just as strong as it was stylish. Buyers could also choose between rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive depending on whether they needed it for work or play. Inside, the truck had a comfortable interior with special trim, making it feel more premium than a standard Sierra Grande. Despite its cool design and Olympic tie-in, the truck didn't exactly fly off the lots. GMC only made 630 of them, which in the grand scheme of things is an incredibly small number. Some people didn't even know it existed, and those who did may have passed on it simply because it was a little more expensive than a regular Sierra. Today, the Sierra Grande Olympic Edition is a rare sight. Finding one in good condition is like winning a gold medal in a scavenger hunt. Many of them were used as work trucks, meaning they got beaten up over the years. But the ones that have survived, they're absolute gems in the classic truck world. So if you ever come across one, you're looking at a true piece of Canadian truck history. And with that said, which of these rare trucks is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.